Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Played on Repeat podcast, the podcast where I go back and listen to some of my favorite music from my childhood and I review it through the lens of my current music taste. I'm your host, Justin Perkins, and without further ado, let's get into our first album and probably my favorite of all time, and Justice For All by Metallica. First things first, I want to go back in time to 1988 when the album was first released and talk about one of the original reviews the album got. The album was Metallica's fourth studio album, and in their review, Rolling Stone magazine praised the band's technical brilliance and complex compositions, calling the album a marvel of precisely channeled aggression. That's a statement that I agree with heavily. This was a tough time for the band, as Justice For All was the first studio album to be released after the death of Cliff Burton, the bassist for the band. It was also obviously the first album for Jason Newsted as he came in as the new bassist, and he had some very big shoes to fill with following up Cliff Burton. The album is slightly controversial due to the fact that it was mixed in a way that you're basically unable to hear the bass through most of the album, largely due to James and Lars using Cliff's death as an excuse to kind of bully Jason Newsted for the first little while that he was in the band. And yeah, that's just a thing that happened. There's been people that went back and remixed the album to include the bass. Those aren't the versions that I listen to here, but I listen to the original versions. But and Jason For All is what the albums are called, where people remixed it so that you can hear the bass, and I do very much enjoy those versions as well. With that being said, the album is near perfect in my mind. And prior to doing a fresh listen all the way through, I decided to give the album a 9 out of 10. Now I'm going to walk through some of my thoughts as I re-listen to the album from front to back for the first time in years. Track 1, Blackened. The track opens with lead guitar fading in. The way this was recorded is pretty cool. It was recorded regularly and then reversed, and the way that you hear it is the reversed version of the way that they actually played it. That's something that I didn't know for a long time. I actually learned it rather late into my lifespan of listening to the song. I learned it after I'd heard the song probably 100 times. After the intro, you're hit in the mouth with a fast and aggressive main riff. Um, that's just something that happens all the way through this album. If you enjoy that type of music, if you enjoy that type of riff, you're in for a really good time with this album. I'd also just like to say that James's vocals in this album are some of my favorite from him. I think it's like after he had begun to get singing lessons and he had started honing his voice as an instrument, and I very much enjoy his performance in this. The song, if you listen to the lyrics, they seem to be about nuclear war, like the ruining of Earth by the human race, and it's a very deep, very deep thing to write a song about, which Metallica tends to do very often. You'll see throughout this entire album, stuff like that. The solo of this song is not super overly complicated by any means, but it meets the needs of the song beautifully. After the solo, we transition very smoothly back into the main riff of the song. We hit the chorus another time, and then we just take it home. Overall, the track is 6 minutes and 42 seconds, which in some genres is very long, but it's normal for a band like Metallica for this type of music, for a song to go that long. And you'll see throughout this album, that's about standard for Metallica in this time. I don't feel like it drags at any point, and I'm happy with the length. This is my favorite opener, or not my favorite. This is one of my favorite openers to an album that I can think of, and I give it on this listen an 8.5 out of 10. It's not my favorite song on the album, but it's a very strong one, and I listen to it pretty often. Track 2, and Justice For All. This is the title track of the album. This one has themes of corruption in the American justice system. Just like I said, um, very hard topics to talk about that Metallica covers in a lot of their music, and it's topics that I feel like need to be talked about. So I'm very glad that they do that, and it's something I've always loved about the band. The song begins with an almost medieval sounding clean guitar part. It's something that Metallica does on occasion. It very quickly goes into a hard and heavy riff that switches back to the clean part and finally eases back into the heavy riffs for good. The song then has a very simple drum fill that's played a few times that the guitar riff then follows and almost mimics the sound of the drums. I've always really enjoyed that. James's vocals, once again, basically the same as Blacken in this album. Um, Enjoy it just as much in this track. The chorus in this song is one of the better parts of it, um, and the way that they get into the chorus with the lead guitar part. The song has a very quick tempo change that then goes into the solo. An overall simple solo, once again. It fits the song well, but isn't necessarily a head turner. Like, it's not one that you're going to be talking about all the time. Um, After the solo, the song goes into another tempo change and slows way down into a heavier, distorted version of the intro clean section. I think it's very cool to bring that back, but in a different way. I do like that. After a minute of that, we circle back to the main riff and back into the verses. We then go through the chorus again, and we exit with a dueling guitar sort of exit. I do enjoy the way the song is ended. The track comes in at 9 minutes and 45 seconds. That makes it the second longest on the album, and it's only a few seconds shorter than the track that it does fall short of. With the length, I did find myself checking how long was left in the song, to be honest. Um, the song has very, very good parts, but some of those good parts I feel just kind of go on for a little too long. Um, I feel like there's parts that they could have either been shortened or taken out altogether. Um, and I honestly feel like this song, although it's a good one, falls short of where I thought I would have put it originally before I re listened to it. With that being said, I'm going to rate it at a 7 out of 10 for this listen. Um, and honestly, I should have anticipated that because it's not a song that I listen to often, to be honest. So it surprised me, but it shouldn't have. Track 3, Eye of the Beholder. This song has themes of perspective, freedom, and the illusion of choice, about how we're only as free as we're allowed to be. The song opens with a distorted guitar riff, fading in and getting louder until it's up to its full volume. I'm always a fan of Metallica's riffs that are based on chugging an open string, the building on that, and this is definitely one of those. James's voice has an effect on it in this song, in its verses, and it's interesting. It breaks up the monotony in a way of every song sounding the same and being the same delivery from James. Um, Overall, the song's guitar parts are very simple and they're hard hitting, which I love that. The song's guitar solo starts beautifully, then stops for a second for a quick riff. It then picks back up and becomes my favorite of the album to this point. It's a short one, but a brilliant one. After the solo, we go back into the chorus, and then the song ends abruptly. The track is 6 minutes and 25 seconds and has the exact opposite problem of the previous one. I always want more when this song ends. I feel as if it's very underrated in Metallica's discography. It has an evergreen message that just pulls you in, and I know that almost everyone can relate to it. This made a very good choice. This made this song a very good choice um, for deciding to make it one of the singles for the album. With that being said, I'm going to give this song a solid 9 out of 10. Track 4, 1. This is another single for the album, and it's definitely the most popular from the album. It's known for its music video that played constantly on MTV in its day. The video used video film from the movie Johnny Got His Gun, which is kind of what the song is based on. The song talks about the struggles of war and what it can do to a man. The song opens with the sound of gunfire, bombs, helicopters, stuff like that. It then transitions into a beautiful clean riff and a clean solo that is one of my favorite parts, like guitar parts, period, of all time. James starts this song singing clean, which is different for this album. And different for the time frame, to be honest. He didn't do it a ton. Then we transition into the chorus. It's a short chorus, but it's powerful in the way that they abruptly go from clean into the more distorted, more typical Metallica style, I guess you could say. After the chorus, we go back to clean, and the verses stay clean for this part of the song. We then get another beautiful guitar solo that goes into a chorus that transitions to a new, different, hard hitting, distorted riff. Here's where Lars starts his double bass on the drums, with the guitar following soon after. The two together sound like gunfire, and that's on purpose, done by the band on purpose. Just when you think the song cannot possibly get any better, Kirk Hammett goes into possibly one of the best guitar solos ever written. It's very famous. Everybody knows it pretty much. After the solo, we have another lead part that is given. It's another harmony part as the loud gunfire-esque riff continues until all the instruments abruptly stop. The song is 7 minutes and 26 seconds long, and I could listen to it over and over again. I don't think I could ever get tired of it. It's regarded as one of the best metal songs of all time, and for good reason. This is one of those songs that just feels special. I can't entirely explain it, but I will say the thing is near to perfect to me, and I will give it a 9.5 out of 10. Track 5, The Shortest Straw. When I was doing research on this track, and I found that the song is mainly about McCarthyism and the Red Scare in America. This is when politicians were being ousted as communists in an apparent witch hunt to spread propaganda. The song opens hard and heavy with another one of those gallopy riffs that I always love from Metallica. The song has one of my favorite verse riffs on the album. I also just love the structure of the song. It almost has a bit of a groove metal feel in ways, like something Pantera-esque, if that makes any sense. I don't know why I've always thought that with this song, but I just have. I think the song is probably Lars's best on the album. I love the drums in The Shortest Straw. I really do. The solo is also very good. I don't feel like it gets talked about enough. I also love the lead part and the rhythm part that they go in and out of on this song. Overall, the track is 6 minutes and 35 seconds, and I have to be honest, I do not listen to this song often enough. It blew me away on this listen, and I can't speak highly enough of it. It's going to be added to my Spotify playlist as soon as I'm done talking about this album. Truthfully. I'm going to give this song a 9 out of 10 on this listen. I think it's now one of my favorites from the album. Track 6, Harvester of Sorrow. This one is the third and final single from the album. This song is about a man who has suffered abuse his whole life, and it's one that I've always connected with. It opens going back and forth between a distorted heavy guitar sound and a clean one. After a few seconds, the distorted takes the song over and begins playing the parts that the clean guitar was playing, as well as its own parts. The song then settles into a main riff, and the verse starts. This song's lyrics strike a chord for me personally. I listen to it often because of that. The second and third verses get into what I assume to be the man as an adult continuing the cycle of abuse with his children. And as someone who relates to the first verse in a way, it's always made me think about my actions and about my effort to not continue the cycle myself, if that makes sense. The song ends with clean guitar coming back in and mixing with the distorted again. until it abruptly ends, and the last thing you hear is James's last Harvester of Sorrow, and it kind of echoes out. Harvester of Sorrow clocks in at 5 minutes and 45 seconds. And for me personally, it's a hard hitting, close to home 5 minutes and 45 seconds. It's a song that I play at least once a week, if not more often. And I love it. I'm going to give this song on this listen a 9.5 out of 10. One of the better songs of the album. Track 7, The Frayed Ends of Sanity. This track also covers a topic that would hit home for a lot of people. In this one, Metallica covers the struggles of mental health. It's about the battle to stay the sane. It's about the battle to stay sane, even though your mind is trying to sabotage you. The song opens with chanting that you can also hear in The Wizard of Oz. That's a fact I found out researching for this, and that I found strange. I guess they were inspired by that and decided to use it for the song. I don't know what would have possessed them to decide to do that, but kind of cool to know that. A few seconds later, the chanting is interrupted by once again another hard-hitting riff. Completely embodies James Hetfield in his writing. It really does. James mentions both schizophrenia and dementia in specific in the first verse. He also talks about fearing his captor being his illness, whatever illness it is that he's talking about, one of the two. The song also has some of the most complex guitar parts in this album. The solo is also a classic Kirk Hammett solo that fits the need for the song just as well as any other on the album. We have a large section of instrumental in the middle of the song that I didn't even notice how long it had been going on for, because the instrumental kept me interested the whole time. It changed enough to hold my attention, which is something that an instrumental part in a song definitely needs. The song also ends with a bit of an instrumental that I honestly wish had gone on for a few seconds longer. But I'm happy with where it ended up, honestly. That puts the song on a solid 7 minutes and 43 seconds. And it's another great song that talks about a tough topic. One of my favorite things about Metallica is how real their music is and how they're not afraid to touch on topics that honestly a lot of people are. Like, a lot of people talk about basic stuff, and Metallica they kind of dig into the real stuff that needs to be talked about, and it's one of my favorite things about them. I'm going to give this song an 8.5 out of 10. It's not my favorite on the album, but I definitely do appreciate it for what it is. Track 8, To Live Is To Die. This song is a very emotional one for the band. It is the last song that Cliff Burton has writing credits on, and it's an instrumental. It begins with another acoustic, clean, medieval-sounding guitar part that is interrupted by a slow, hard-hitting, almost grueling, distorted guitar riff. This riff continues for some time and then gets even slower before the first lead part of the song comes in. I don't know of a better way to describe this song than emotionally charged. It has some beautiful guitar harmony parts that just you can feel the pain in the bends of the guitar. Like, it's beautiful and sad at the same time, to be honest. You can just feel the seriousness of the situation that caused them to write this song. The only words in the song is a poem reading. It's done by James. The line is one that Cliff thought highly of, and that's why it was included. The song ends the same way that it started, with a classical medieval guitar, clean guitar part. If I'm correct, I believe that's the part in which Cliff actually wrote for the song. That's the part that he had written before his passing. The track is 9 minutes and 48 seconds long. Through the whole song, you can feel the band pouring their emotions into it. It feels like the song was a very good way for the band to deal with the feelings they had after Cliff's death. It's not one that I listen to all that often, but I definitely appreciate it. for what it is, and I'm very glad that the band put it out when they did. On this listen, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Track 9, Dyer's Eve. This song is about having a sheltered upbringing and overbearing parents, and that how that causes you to not be prepared for the world because of that. After the almost sorrowful way that the last track ends, you're quickly woken back up by the beginning of this one. It is loud, fast, and aggressive in all the best ways. This song has an awesome verse riff, one of my favorites of all time. I can't imagine trying to play this and sing the way that James has to whenever he does play this song live. Like, I just literally cannot imagine having to do that. The switch up going into and out of the chorus, I think, is also my favorite of the album. Interestingly, I also think this song holds the only curse word in the whole album. The solo is also pure Kirk Hammett. One where he absolutely abuses his wah pedal, but I love every second of it. I love that this song has so many slight variations of the riffs as well. The song is 5 minutes and 13 seconds. That makes it the shortest of the album, and my God, did I wish it was longer. This is one of those songs that I absolutely never see enough love for, and I wish it got it. On this listen, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I honestly think it's probably my favorite on the album, even higher than 1. After averaging all that out, that brings me to an 8.8 out of 10. I had almost no surprises on this album. I ended up pretty close to what I nostalgically put it at. I nostalgically put it at a 9 out of 10. I ended up at an 8.8. The one song I didn't enjoy as much as I remembered was the title track of the album. I was let down by it a little bit. I didn't hate the song in any way, but I just didn't feel like it held up to the rest of the album. I really didn't. With that being said, thank you so much for listening to this first episode of the podcast. It's a pretty short listen. It's not a long podcast by any means, but I very much enjoyed doing the research for this and getting to listen to some of my favorite music and putting more thought into it than just having it on in the background like I normally would. I plan on doing one of these about once a week. I hope to do one absolutely once a week. It doesn't really matter to me how many people listen to it. It's something that I've just always thought about doing, and I decided to dive on in and do it, and commit to it. Also, if you have any recommendations for albums that I should cover, absolutely comment somewhere. I think Spotify has comments now. You can comment on Spotify. Find me on TikTok. You can just look up Play It on Repeat on TikTok. You can comment on one of my videos, and that would be greatly appreciated if I could get some suggestions. With that being said, once again, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next week.